welcome back to ComputerWise. I'm George Roberts, along with my son Justin.
Yay!
Justin, you know what we're doing today, right?
Yeah, we're building that computer.
We are building a gaming computer, right?
Yes.
This has certain specifications that you wanted to have.
Mm-hmm.
And so what we did was we researched and found the things that we needed to make this happen. We're going to show you the items before we start building it. Of course, we have this cool-looking case.
It's called an X-Sniper 2, right?
X-Sniper 2, yeah. And on the side of it, it has this nice blue cutout, which gives it some
Nice look.
A nice look, right? It'll
And
have
it's
some
like
LEDs
glass.
and stuff, and it's got some blue LEDs all the way around, and so that should be pretty cool. Plus, we have some fans here, Corsair fans that are LEDs, blue LEDs in them too. That they're going to go in the top, so they'll be put up there. Now, let's talk about the important things. Of course, we start with the motherboard. This is an MSI
Z97 Gaming 7.
Right. And of course, that's in there. We have to be careful with that. We'll take everybody through the steps. And a processor, this happens to be an Intel i7. Right.
It's very, it's probably the best for gaming for right now, because in the future, there's going to be games that are going to be using 8 cores, right? Or
The
8
hyperthread,
threads. Yeah.
right? Eight threads. That's what that has in there, because it's a quad core, right?
It uses hyperthreading, so.
Uses hyperthreading, right? So that'll give us the quad core hyperthreading, 2 threads on each, gives us the 8, right?
And it should be able to be overclocked, right?
Yes,
So yeah,
that's
that's
true
also
too.
a
So
plus.
you can do that. This happens to be
An NVIDIA GeForce GTX 750 Ti graphics card.
graphics card. This is going to be the thing that really allows you to play your games well, right? So we wanted to get that. Of course, you also have to have a good power supply, and this happens to be a Corsair RM750. And we understand, besides being ultra quiet, it should handle all the needs that we have for this particular computer. We also have a Western Digital hard drive.
It's 1 terabyte.
Runs at 7,200 RPM. That should work well. We have our RAM sticks. We've got 2 of those.
2 8 gigs of RAM ballistics, which should give us 16 gigs of RAM. So if you want to play games like Battlefield 4, which are taking 16 gigs of RAM, you have 16 gigs of RAM right there.
Right. And of course, we need an optical drive, and we have an optical drive.
You have an Asus right here.
Right, DVD.
Yeah.
So that'll help us with installation of different things like games in the operating system. And we have an anti-static wrist strap, which is really important, because when you're building something like this, the worst enemy is static electricity, right? Which you can damage electronic parts. All right, I think we have everything we need, so let's get started.
All right.
First thing we're going to do with this particular case is put in the power supply. That's what it recommends. So we have our Corsair 750, and of course the plug and everything has to go on the outside. And we're going to put this in right side up. It's got a fan on the bottom, and there's holes on the bottom for the air to come out. So what we're going to do is we're going to
Put it in there.
slide it in,
And then push that there.
and it goes right up against
The thing.
right the back of the case. And so now we got to screw it to the
in,
case.
So you need a screwdriver.
So we have the power supply in. Next thing we're going to work on is
The
getting the
motherboard.
motherboard. Right, getting the motherboard in here. There's a wrist strap that I put on. That is to make sure that we don't develop any static electricity. So we're going to attach this to the metal part of the case. The motherboard, MSI motherboard. Justin, we have the actual motherboard itself, which is in here, which we're going to take out shortly. We also have user guides, and these are important because it explains things about every motherboard. Every motherboard that you purchase has different things, specs in it, and things like that. So you need to keep this kind of stuff, because this is going to be important maybe down the road if you have to make any changes or do anything with the motherboard itself. So these are important things to have. We see where the processor is going to go. All right.
We got
RAM,
the RAM,
is going to go here,
ballistics.
which we're going to put in. So we have a few things we have to install. We're going to first work on the processor and then the RAM. and then we'll install it into the case here. Now, in order to put the motherboard in here properly, we have to put these little standoffs in. These standoffs allow the motherboard to just
gently like rise.
Above the edge of the or the side of the case. So what we're going to do, we took a look here to see where these line up. They should go in by hand. If not, they do provide us with a little tool here to help us install these on the case. Justin, what do you hope you're going to be able to do with this computer once it's done?
Play a lot of video games.
Video games in moderation, is that what I'm hearing?
Yes.
It's a good idea to check the manual because that has like a diagram, first of all, of everything that's on this motherboard. But the other cool thing is that it explains a little bit more in detail about putting this processor chip in and exactly how to line it up. Now, what we've determined is there are 2 notches on the processor chip and the golden triangle.
But then there's
and
an
when
arrow
we look here, right
there.
you've got the arrow there.
And then there's a dot like right over there.
So I guess that is where they want it all to go. So what we're going to do is we're going to set this just right there, just like it's supposed to be. It sits right in. We should be able to put this down now. And then what we do is to hold this in properly, you're going to pull down on this. And that is going to seat the processor chip.
Well, now we got the CPU cooler installed. Now it's time to put the RAM in.
You're right, Justin. Now, these come in sticks. We've got 2 of them.
And you got to put it in 2 and 4.
This motherboard requires it in slots 2 and 4. You're right.
Yes.
Now, you'll see that there's a notch right here. And there's a lot of, there's a lot more room here than there is here. And that will match up with the notch that is right on the motherboard where these pop in. So that goes just like that.
Then you should be able to do that.
To put that in to hold those in.
And then this one.
And this one's the same way. We take this, right?
Just want to slide it in.
Yeah. There we go.
Don't want to push too hard though.
No. They'll pop right on. Hear that?
Mm-hmm.
Once you hear that pop, then you know that it's in. Same with this other one here. Once you hear that pop, there you go.
Mm-hmm.
Set to go. Now, the next thing we want to do
is put on the fan and put it into the CPU fan. 1, right?
Right. There's a place to plug it in.
It's like right here, right?
I'm just going to put this fan back on. Okay.
Can I say something?
Yeah.
When you are plugging this in, it can only go one way. So you gotta make sure that this right here has to matches up with this part, like right here, that black piece right there. So it should just slide in right there, like so. Like that.
Very good. Time now to put the motherboard
inside the case.
Inside the case. You're right, Justin. Now you got to make sure you have it positioned correctly because these things here have to be toward the back of the case, right?
And if they break, then that's very bad.
Very, very bad.
You don't want that to happen at all.
So we line them up. There's holes in here where we've got to screw all this in. So we line all this up so that it's going to screw in properly. There we go, the last of the screws to hold the motherboard in, Justin. Do you know what we got to put in next?
The graphics card?
The graphics card is right. The graphics card
is one of the most important parts.
Do you know where it goes in here?
It should just slide right in one of those.
Yep. Now, the only thing is, you see this over here?
We gotta take some of them out.
You gotta take one of these out.
Oh, one?
Yeah, depending on which one we're gonna put it in. So, we're gonna see where this lines up, what our best option is. You know, depending on the motherboard and the card, you know, it depends on what kind of a type you have here. But this is it. Look at that.
It's for the Win series.
For the Win series.
Yeah.
This has what, an NVIDIA chip in it?
NVIDIA
right?
chip. So you can sync it to one of certain monitors or TVs.
Do different things with it, right?
It's very interesting. And if you get an NVIDIA Shield, you can always, like, say you're at Disneyland or something, and you have your PC on sleep, and you have one of these NVIDIA graphics cards, you can actually PC stream your games on Steam from your PC while you're in Disneyland.
Wow. So what we want to do is remove one of these and wiggle it around.
Until it comes out.
That's right. There we go. See that?
Comes out just like that.
Just be careful you don't hurt yourself. But
And you can't put it back in.
now we're ready to place in our GPU. And
Or a graphics card.
right. You want to line this up. If you get it lined up properly,
Then you should be able to screw it in.
yep. Once you line it in, see it snaps in just like that? Look at that.
That's a nice
Right.
snap.
We get that in there like that, and then we're just going to screw this in. That'll hold it in place, and you'll be able to then connect to this graphics card with your monitor and things like that. This case is going to have a few fans, not only on the processor, but we're also going to put a couple other fans in here to really help circulate the air around. So we have a couple of these Corsair fans. We've got one in. Justin, you have the other one there?
It has blue LEDs on it, so that's really nice. And the case actually came with a fan, so we'll have 4 fans in total.
That's right.
So we'll keep it pretty cool.
It should. That's what we're hoping. Do you have some screws for me?
Yes. We got one.
Now we have the drives to put in. I'm going to start with the optical drive.
So we can get DVD and stuff like that. No Blu-ray. So if you want to watch movies, then this isn't the one for you.
Well, this will do
Well, non-Blu-ray.
regular
yeah.
DVDs, right? Okay. There we go.
So we got the disc drive installed.
Optical disc is in. DVD is in. Now let's do the hard drive.
So we're using the Western Blue Digital 1 terabyte hard drive. It's very nice. This is a nice packaging. Should just slide out just like that. Now you have this. You just gotta be careful of the back.
First thing we need to do is put some rails on the side. Now with the hard drive, this particular case has these rails that you just pop on. And when you do that, it just makes it very simple to just
Slide right in.
There's a lot of wiring inside one of these computers, and you have to take a look at the motherboard book to really understand where all the connectors go. It's not an easy thing to do. You can look up on YouTube for helpful hints depending on what the motherboard is and the components you have. A lot of people have posted YouTube videos which show you exactly how to position a lot of the wires.
Yeah.
You know, but there's the basic things which we'll go over in a moment. But what I want to show everybody, Justin, is when you're doing cable wiring, sometimes you have to take off both sides. And if you look here, you'll see in the front that we had to take off this side so that we could get to the wires that are hooked to they're hooked to the hard drive and the optical drive. And we wanted to be able to move those through here to then get to the motherboard. The one thing, Justin, and everyone at home, is when you have a case, there are things on the front of the case that have to be hooked up, such as...
like LEDs for the power button and reset button. There's usually USB 3.0. There's a headphone and microphone jack too.
Right. So that's all there. And there's wires pre-wired that have to be hooked in. And you have to refer to the, again, the manual for the motherboard as to where they hook in. So we found those. Audio is hooked in. We have, of course, the hard drive here. We have an optical drive. And we've hooked the wires. There's the data cable. And then there's also the power cable. And they go into, the power cable has to go into the power supply.
Yes.
So we have the motherboard hooked up. We have the 2 drives hooked up.
Now
And
we need
then
to
we're down
hook
to, we
up
got this fan. We put in extra
one fan.
fans, right?
Yeah. We have 2 extra fans right here. So it'll keep it cooler.
And on the motherboard, if you look real close, there's actual wording on here. And if you look there, it says Sys Fan 1. And we're going to hook that right in now, Justin.
And, well, there's 3 pins right here, and there's 4 pins right there. And there's, like, these 2 little things right here. And then there's this block right here. So you want to put it in so that they line up with the block.
Right. Some fans take 4 pins, some are 3, but they will work on the same hook here. So that just goes right in. And again, you don't force anything on the motherboard. If it's not going in well, then you got to take a look at it and see what is the problem. Well, Justin, we're at the point where we're going to try to turn this computer on and see what happens. But we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
Stay with us. Welcome back to ComputerWise. George Roberts, along with my son Justin. We're building a computer on the show, and we've gone through everything that we're supposed to. We have all the checklists taken care of. Time now to find out if this computer works.
Yep. And we got a keyboard and a mouse hooked in, and then we got a nice big mouse pad right here.
Got it hooked up to a monitor. Internet's
TV.
hooked up. Power. And what I'm going to do is flip the power switch on for the
Power to go into it.
power going into the power supply. So that's going on. So now, Justin, here we go. You hit the power button on the front.
This is the power button, right? The one like right next
Should be.
to it.
Yeah.
It's on.
Okay.
We have made computer.
Justin, it looks like everything's working.
Yeah.
We see on the screen that it says that we need to push or press F1 to run setup. So let's do that
Oh, that's nice.
and see what we get here on this setup. So it tells us what the temperature is of the CPU and the motherboard.
So this was built for pretty much gaming purposes.
Yeah, well, we thought we'd use Windows 8.1 because, you know, that's the latest
Yeah,
operating
they can-
system.
they can
Windows
get.
10 will come out later this year,
Yeah, but
and then you'll be able to upgrade to that.
yeah.
But the way this works now, of course, it comes with, when you buy the full install of Windows, you get the choice of using 64, 32-bit, depending on what your system can handle. And it gives you this cool little passkey, which has all your information on here for the product key to register. So that's pretty cool. And of course, we built this from scratch.
Yes.
We actually went and got all the parts that we wanted to make this happen and put it together. The operating system is being installed. Once that's done, what do we have to do next?
Well, we have to upgrade it so that it gets everything that it's missed, and then we have to.
Because since this was made and put out in the store, there's been a lot of upgrades, updates and things like that to the operating system, right? So we'll go out and get all those, and we're gonna have to do it with the BIOS too.
Yeah. Then after we do the BIOS and Windows, we have to install the graphics card.
Right. We took the graphics card out so that we could get this up and running, and then the graphics card we'll put back in, and that will be a special install. You know, so we'll do that as soon as it's finished installing all the software that we need. Let's go over the items again that we used to build this machine and the prices.
How much they cost if you want to build it at home.
That's right. Now you wanted to build this for gaming.
Exactly.
That was the idea. So the one thing we did do, since we didn't know a lot about, I mean, there's a lot of parts in a computer, and so, you know, this is not something we do every day. So we went online and we read other people that had built gaming machines, right? And we wanted to see what they did and how those machines worked and what they thought of the parts that they had purchased and things like that. So we took some advice from some of the things we read online. So let's go through them. We'll start with the case. The case is the Apivia X Sniper 2 case. It's all metal, and it comes in different glowing colors, right? You wanted the blue?
Yes.
Price on that was $50.
Next, we got the MSI Gaming 7 motherboard.
Right.
And it costed us $180.
Right. The Intel i7 4790K processor. That chip, $336.
And do you want to explain why we got that one?
Go ahead.
Well, so right now, people are getting the i5s. And i5 doesn't have hyper-threading, so it's only going to have 4 threads. And that's going to be the same with the i3 because i3 has hyper-threading, so it's going to be 4 threads, but only dual core.
Dual core, right.
Yes. But for future of gaming, you're going to want a i7 because it has hyper-threading, and you're going to get 8 threads. And later on, it's not going to only be 4 threads, it's going to be 8 threads.
Yeah, the games are all moving toward that, right? Eventually, they're going to be using 8 threads on a lot of the games. So, all right, the graphics card
is a GeForce GTX 750
right.
EVGA graphics card
and that
for
was,
the Win Ti, $165.
Right. We also added 2 sticks of RAM, Crucial Ballistic Sport 16 gigabyte total for $125.
We got
that's a Corsair RM Series 750 watt power supply, right?
$120.
Right. And then we also decided to what? Add a couple fans?
Yeah, we got 2 fans.
2 more fans.
So, again, another
24 for those, right? Then, of course, the hard drive.
Western Digital Blue hard drive, 1 terabyte, and it was
100 RPMs,
yeah.
right? That was
and it was $55.
Right. We also opted to go with a better CPU cooler, the Cooler Master Hyper 212. That's the big and tall, right?
The Intel actually came with a cooler for like a fan on top of it, but it's not as good as the Cooler
We didn't think it
Master.
would do the job, right, to keep it cool. So $33 for that. Of course,
Asus DVD drive, which was $21, so that we can install the stuff.
This fantastic looking keyboard and mouse that you wanted.
And it has blue LEDs on it, so that's really nice. And that was $41.
And of course, we needed the operating system Windows 8.1. That was $105.
So our total is $1,255.
Not bad for a machine of this quality.
It is actually very, very fast considered to what I used to have, which is over there. It's my laptop. But it is actually really great for the price.
Right. So I guess now it's time to install a game or two and see how it works, right? So we'll do that. Everyone watching, thank you. And we hope you enjoyed this segment of ComputerWise, and we'll see you next time right here.
Bye.